Does repetition build reputation? The latest from our daily newsletter at podnews.net. How many times should someone hear your ad on a podcast? The answer? Between 2 to 5 times, says a new podcast advertising benchmark report published by Spotify's Podsights. The data also says that brands should aim for at least 200,000 impressions when advertising on podcasts. Want more people to know about your podcast? Pocketcasts sends out a regular newsletter to publishers, highlighting how to get featured in the popular podcast app. We'll link to the latest edition and where to sign up for it in our show notes and our newsletter at podnews.net. The company was bought by Automatic last year, and they say they're working on a rather large update at the moment. It's less than a month to go till the Podcast Show 2022 in London on May the 25th and 26th. The website currently lists 196 speakers, more on the way. Speaking to me on the Podland podcast yesterday, Tom Billington said that YouTube will be a partner at the event, sponsoring the Talking Podcasts stages. But as for what they're going to say,
we will wait and see what they want to bring and see what they will announce and what they will be talking about. I think it'll be fantastic to have them there. We're excited amongst all the other partners that we've got on board as well.
As we're a media partner, you can use promo code Podnews to save 20% off day tickets for a limited time. Prices increase on May the 3rd. How much did Spotify pay for Podsights and Chartable in February? €83 million is the answer, according to its SEC report. The company didn't split out how much was paid for each, though. That's $87.5 million. The company will also make an additional €18 million payment related to its acquisition of Parcast in 2019, after Parcast hit some engagement targets. Spotify's share price hit an all-time low this week. Lemonada Media is launching a brand new genre that's so distinct, they're trademarking it. Audio reality, billed as reality TV for your ears, is being used for a new show launched yesterday called Being Trans. It's not cheap, though. Each episode would cost around $100,000, says a New York Times report, double the amount of a typical Lemonada show. And we can exclusively reveal on this podcast around $100,000 more than this show costs. The Radio Advertising Summit took place yesterday in Cologne, in Germany. One of the speakers was Podnews' editor, James Cridland, that's me, who told delegates that podcast advertising is growing because for brands it's a much more human and personal way of marketing than press or radio. It's literally marketing by word of mouth. He's a good speaker, is James, isn't he? And mobile phone network Vodafone has produced a podcast map of the UK. Working with research company OnePoll, it claims listeners in Scotland listen the most to politics podcasts, while listeners in Northern Ireland listen most to true crime. And in podcast news, Kasich and Klepper features two rather different people. John Kasich, former governor of Ohio and 2016 Republican presidential candidate, and Jordan Klepper, a liberal comedian best known for his viral videos interviewing Trump supporters for The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. They'll dive into conversations about parenting, leadership, pop culture, mental health, and more, with a good sense of humour and a whole lot of jokes at each other's expense. It's from Acast, and we thank them for their support this month. Pod Chat this week has special guest Brian Barletta from Sounds Profitable. He thinks podcasters are our own worst enemy at monetization. He says the closer you are to the podcast space, the more you hear negatives about ads and about the industry, but the general public understands that ads are how things go round. And ARN's iHeart Podcast Network Australia has partnered with The Daily Oz, a fast-growing news outlet for millennials, bringing stories that matter for young Aussies. ARN will help them reach a wider audience. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net. And now, still no trailers.